Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I'm in bed this morning because I wanted to talk to you about CPAP machines. There's actually 3 different kinds of PAP machines, and PAP stands for positive airway pressure. There are APAPs, BPAPs, and CPAPs, and it's just a coincidence it's A, B, and C. A stands for automatic, B stands for bilevel, and C stands for continuous. 3 slightly different types of machines, and your doctor will prescribe which one he thinks you need. But as far as way they're powered, it's the same. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I have here an APAP machine, and you can see it has a connection right here where I plug in this, which goes directly to the 12-volt outlet that I have installed right next to my bed. And it doesn't take any kind of conversion because, fortunately, PAP machines operate with a 12-volt motor. So a plug into a 12-volt connection just goes straight. Now, you can also power them with a 110 connection, plug into the same hole, and this block takes the 12 volt, converts it to 120 volt, and then you just plug this into a 120 volt outlet that all RVs will have in the bedroom. The problem with doing that is that you're taking a 12 volt device, converting it to 120 volt, and then once this goes to your inverter before the battery, it inverts or converts the 12 volt to 120 volt and then converts it back down to 12 volt to run off of the batteries. Now that's about as inefficient as you can get. 12 to 120 and then back down to 12. So you want to avoid doing that unless you're plugged into shore power or if you're running the generator. If you're in the shore power generator, then it's probably better to use the 120. But when you're not plugged in or running the generator, then you're going to need to use it off of the 12 volt, or you can still use it off of the 120 without any generator or shore power, but it's going to take more electricity. Anytime you use anything that's a 120 device, it's going to take more electricity. Plus, the inverter itself requires power to run. So you want to avoid that unless you have to. Now, I also have a CPAP machine that I used to use before I got my APAP, and it has power connection here. It's got a separate 12 volt and 120 volt connections. This is for my APAP machine. When I try and plug it into my CPAP machine, it won't fit. So if you don't have a 12 volt connection that came with your machine, and I don't think any of them probably come with it, the 12 volt connection you have to buy separately when you buy your machine, but they're easy to get. Now this also has a 120 volt connection here. Now your 12 volt batteries will put out 15 amps. A CPAP machine will use somewhere between 4 and 8 amps. And normally that's not a problem. Your refrigerator will use 1 amp, and everything else in the system may use 1 amp. So you'll be fine, really. I've used it many times just running off of the batteries without any kind of outside source, and I've never had a problem. However, that power usage does present two problems. This is a humidifier, and the humidifier connects onto the PAP machine like this. Now, the humidifier takes water that you put into it, heats up the water, and through the connection here, puts out a little bit of moisture along with the air. And what that does is, if you have a problem drying out your nose or your sinuses, that little bit of moisture it puts out keeps everything moist. Now, I've been using my PAP machine for a few years. I've only needed to use the humidifier just a few times. It's when I was sick, and for some reason I was drying out my sinuses and I needed to use it. But normally, no, I do not use the humidifier at all. Some people seem to need it all the time, but I really never need it, except for rare occasions like when I'm sick or something and it's just unusually drying out. Now, if you use a humidifier with a PAP machine, it's going to use about 2 or 3 times as much electricity as just using the PAP machine alone. And that may be too much for your 15 amp battery system. And the other problem is, if 2 people need to use a PAP machine at the same time, that may be taking too many amps to just run off of your batteries. The only other way around that is to either be plugged in the shore power or have your generator running. Now, you might want to run the generator anyway, so that you can use your air conditioner. If that's the case, your problem is solved. Just use the 120 volt connection rather than the 12 volt connection, and you're fine. But if you're using the humidifier or 2 people at one time, then it's going to be more of a challenge. Now, you may be thinking, well, I don't have a 12 volt outlet in my bedroom. And pretty much no RVs come with a 12 volt outlet in the bedroom. They only have them way up front by the driver's seat area. But you can have one installed. In fact, when I got my motorhome, I got 5 additional 12 volt outlets installed. One here in the bedroom, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, one on the dinette table, and one outside in a storage bin for outside usage. And it's not expensive to install them. They're pretty easy to install. Unless you know how to do it yourself, which you probably don't, then you can just go to any RV service center and they will install them for you. Well, I hope this has helped. If you need to use any kind of a PAP machine with your RV, then this should help you with that. One other thing is there are battery packs that you can get, and the battery packs can be used in a tent camping as well, where it provides enough power to run the machine overnight. You can do that in your RV as well if necessary. Those battery packs cost about $250 extra to get one, and you have to recharge them every day. Now, if that's your only option to get the thing working, especially if you're tent camping, that will be your only option. If you have to, you have to, but you want to try and avoid the battery packs. You only get one if you have to. So I hope this has helped you. If you're the person that needs to use a PAP machine, that's what you need to know. Thanks.